The iPhone 13 Pro is this one phone that I just keep coming back to over and over. And it's actually the phone that I am using as my daily phone right now. It's still one of the best iPhones that Apple ever made. So today I want to talk about why I think this phone is still a really good choice in 2025, even though it came out 4 years ago, and why I think it's gonna stay good moving forward. Definitely not perfect, but I would argue that pros hugely outweigh the cons. And the first pro, and probably the biggest one for most people, is gonna be the price. You can actually pick this phone up today, renewed on Amazon for around $400 to $450, and compared to the newer iPhones, here's what you get for that price. Now, I'm not gonna be going over all the specs and stuff like that because it's an old phone. There's a bunch of reviews on it out there. I actually made one before. You can check out my video, you can check out other creators, whatever. I just wanted to focus on everyday use because for that price, you really do get a lot. This is basically the entryway into 120 Hertz. This is the first phone that has a ProMotion display, and it's actually still bright enough. It doesn't reach 2000 nits like the new models, but day to day, even outside in direct sunlight, it's actually really good. Colors and everything else are also, well, basically the same as with newer iPhones. Where it does lack in the display department is that it still has a notch. As you probably already know, that notch got replaced with Dynamic Island, the iPhone 14 Pro, but other than the notch and slightly thicker bezels, this display is actually really comparable to like the iPhone 16 Pro's display, or comparable. It's my second language, leave me alone. The build quality is also comparable or comparable to the newer iPhones. It doesn't have titanium, it's stainless steel sides with the matte glass on the back, but you know, it's a metal. What does kind of bother me is that the sides are kind of glossy compared to the matte sides on the titanium iPhones, so that's the 15 Pro and the 16 Pro, but it doesn't scratch up that easily. Those titanium sides actually leave way more visible scratches and bumps and stuff like that. But with this one, you get fingerprints, so it's an even scale, I guess. Also, I forgot to mention this in the intro because I didn't prepare well enough for this video, which should probably give you a lot of confidence into what I'm saying. And that is that everything I say about the 13 Pro is also true for the 13 Pro Max. The only difference between these two phones is the display size and the battery size. So with the 13 Pro Max, you will get a bigger display and even better battery life because the regular, smaller 13 Pro still actually has some pretty good battery performance. And this phone that I'm using is actually a few years old, so the battery has degraded substantially. So let me just go here, battery health. It's at 84% battery health, which basically means it has 84% of the battery's maximum capacity. But when it came out, this was actually one of the best batteries in phones that year, especially the Pro Max. So even with the battery degradation, this can actually get me through the day still, no issues. I am not a huge power user. So if you are using your phone a lot for stuff like navigation, maybe if you have a longer daily commute to work, something like that, and you're using GPS a lot, it might drain it a bit faster. But other than that, it's actually pretty good, and batteries are replaceable. And even if you factor in battery replacement directly from Apple, if you want to get this phone secondhand, used on eBay, something like that, it's actually still pretty affordable, and you would get a brand new battery, and then it would absolutely 100% be a full day battery experience for most users. It doesn't charge that fast, it's capped at around 25 watts, something like that, wired, but iPhones in general don't charge that fast, so it's not going to be a huge difference with if you want to compare it with like the iPhone 16 Pro. That one charges like 30 something watts, so it's not a huge difference and it's not something that's noticeable. What might be more noticeable to people is that the iPhone 13 Pro does have MagSafe and supports wireless charging, but with MagSafe it charges up to 15 watts, while something like the iPhone 16 Pro charges wirelessly via MagSafe at 25 watts. So that might be a difference you will notice, but still this was one of the best battery phones back when it came out, and it's still actually really decent. Now the performance in 2025, I don't even know what to say about this. It's an iPhone, it's really fast, has the A15 Bionic chip. It does everything I needed to do the same as it did 4 years ago. Also, if you like this video, like the video. So it didn't slow down at all. You cannot notice the age on this chip. I have done some light gaming, some video editing, rendering and exporting. Now, if you put it next to the iPhone 16 Pro, you will probably notice a difference. But I think that difference is gonna be noticeable only in these really high power situations, like video editing, like if you're playing like high demanding games for extended periods of time, then you might notice a small difference. But like opening apps, day-to-day, Instagram, browsing, all that stuff, it's as smooth as it ever was. And yeah, since iPhones are really fast in general and are supported for a long time, this phone is still fast today. and I guarantee it's gonna stay fast for the next few years. And of course, we have to talk about the cameras. It does have 3 cameras on the back, just like newer iPhones do, but they're all 12 megapixel sensors, so you have the ultra-wide, the regular wide lens, and the telephoto with a 3x optical zoom. And even though this camera system on paper is a bit outdated by today's standards, it's honestly not that noticeable using it day to day. Before this phone, I used the iPhone 15 for a considerable amount of time, and honestly, I haven't noticed the difference. In fact, I think the newer iPhones kind of over-process the image a little bit more. So with the iPhone 13 Pro, you would actually get a more natural result in most cases. So if you want to pixel peep, if you like pull up images from both the iPhone 13 Pro and the 16 Pro, and you zoom in like 100 times on a big monitor, you might see some quality differences because the 15, 16 Pros have a bigger sensor and have more megapixels. But day to day for social media, for just capturing stuff in your life, this is still a really, really good choice. And even for people that are a bit more enthusiastic about photography or videography, this phone still supports those Pro formats. That's Pro RAW for images and ProRes for video. If you want to get the most out of your camera, get the best dynamic range, the more natural colors without that over processing that most phones do. If you want to tweak stuff in post, edit your photos and videos to make them pop out more, you can do that. And that's something that's only available on Pro iPhones. So if you get a regular iPhone 16 or 16 Plus, those options are actually not available. So it's a huge plus even compared to some newer iPhones. It doesn't have true log recording like the iPhone 16 Pro does, but everything else is still available on this phone. ProRes in general on iPhones eats up a lot of storage. So as like a nice hack, you can actually download the Blackmagic camera app. It's a completely free app, first of all, and second of all, it does give you a lot more control and customization over your photos and videos. So basically you have a manual mode where you can adjust your white balance, exposure, ISO, and they have their version of ProRes on that app that doesn't eat up that much storage. I'm not affiliated with the app or the company at all. I don't have like an affiliate link or anything. I just really like it and I think it's really useful. Even if you're using a newer iPhone, like the iPhone 16 Pro that does have log recording, again, because ProRes log also eats up a lot of storage, there's actually a version of that log format that is way more generous with your storage. And with an older phone like the iPhone 13 Pro, that would actually bring your camera experience way closer to like a newer iPhone, because of the control and the manual and the back. In general, it does shoot 4K. The images and videos out of this camera are still amazing. One thing I have noticed that it does lack a little bit when it comes to low light photography, but it's still really good. It does have a night mode. It works really, really well. But again, this technology just kind of gets updated each year. So that is something to kind of pay attention to. Why I think this phone is so appealing to me and why I think it might be appealing to a lot more people is that for 400 to 450 bucks, you get a really premium experience that's extremely close to something you would get with a brand new iPhone, because 99% of these most important features are still available here. First of all, the build quality, even though it's not titanium, my God, you get the matte glass on the back, the stainless steel sides, it still has ceramic shield on the front. You get a fast and bright display, 120 Hertz, great battery life, 3 cameras on the back for just basically variety that work really well. Also, Apple offers really, really great software support, so you will get new versions of iOS on this phone for the next couple of years. And the most important thing of all, which a lot of people might think is a flaw, but I see it as an advantage, and that is no Apple Intelligence.